CNN's Chris Cuomo gets utterly humiliated on Twitter. We're going to take a look at Cuomo's embarrassing Twitter fail, how it's but the latest humiliation to come down the pike for this CNN anchor, and precisely why he keeps embarrassing himself in the first place. You're not going to want to miss this. Greetings, everyone. Dr. Stevie, we're back from Dallas, Texas, where I had a wonderful time with some of my classical education colleagues. If you're new to our channel, we are your daily fake news antidote, as each and every day we provide patriotic analysis to help you to think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. So if you haven't already done so, you know what to do. Make sure to smack that bell and subscribe. Before we jump into things here, gang, let's give a huge shout out to the sponsor of this video, and that is the makers of this awesome, this amazing, this beautiful fighter flare flashlight. You're going to love this one. One of the best things that you can invest in for your protection when the lights go out is a 6-in-1 beauty, which comes with a 3000 mAh solar-powered recharging battery equipped with a high and low beam light that you can see from miles away. It's got an emergency strobe light. It's got a compass. It's got a wire and rope cutter. It's got an emergency glass breaker hammer and a high-powered military-grade magnet. It is awesome. And best of all, if you click on that link below right now, you're going to get yours at 20% off the regular price. But supply is limited, so don't wait. Click on that link below and get your super awesome fighter flare flashlight today. All right, gang, let's dive right in here. Things just keep getting worse for CNN's Chris Cuomo. The latest in a series of humiliations to beset the far-left activist disguised as news anchor involves his utterly foolish confrontation with a social media critic. Cuomo at first had tweeted out a response to Rosanna Arquette, who defended Biden's blowing up at a journalist who pointed out what a disastrous summit with Putin was. And Arquette originally tweeted, "Frankly, I think Biden was right to lose his patience with a journalist or any journalist who tries to twist his words. Calling that crap out is the way forward. Enough bullshit. The truth and nothing but the truth." So Cuomo, thinking he actually has something intelligent to say, responded with, quote, "Problem is, truth is now at the mercy of what people want to be true. If you don't like it, it isn't the truth." Now, I couldn't think of a more apropos description of CNN, frankly, which is the most distrusted name in fake news, and I wasn't alone. A fellow who goes by the Twitter title Jim Mostly Peaceful Fortified Election responded to Cuomo with this, quote, "The story of your life. You constantly deny facts you don't like." Now, that was pretty good, okay? I think he's pointing out the rather obvious fact that Cuomo and CNN don't much like to report news. They fabricate it. They simulate it in accordance with their far left-wing cultural sentiments. And so, this mostly peaceful fellow replies to Cuomo, "You don't like the facts you don't like." And freaking Cuomo has the goal to tweet back, I kid you not, "Name one. TikTok. Name one fact I've denied that I don't like." And then you have that little snark, "TikTok, TikTok, I'm waiting." Now, I very much appreciate Jim Mostly Peaceful Fortified Election and his comment, but Jim only has a few hundred followers, God bless him, and so this wasn't a major social media critic taking on Cuomo to task, right? So the fact that Cuomo decided to respond to him at all, let alone with such snark, says something rather obvious about Cuomo's, shall we say, tender ego. And boy, did that ego get an earful, shall we say a Twitterful. New York Post columnist Carol Markowitz responded, "You broke quarantine while actually sick with COVID," which he did, right? We now know that Cuomo broke his own self-isolation because it turned out that he had an altercation with a biker near his home in the East Hamptons in New York on Easter Sunday. Cuomo himself ranted about it on his radio broadcast. Tucker Carlson had the biker on his show. It was just hilarious because if you recall, CNN staged a resurrection from Cuomo's basement after he supposedly quarantined himself for 2 weeks. I mean, this was the very definition of cringeworthy. CNN regularly featured Cuomo while he was supposedly sequestering himself in his basement for weeks, and then CNN staged his official emergence from the basement when the quarantine was over, and with him reuniting with his family, and you could hear him saying, this is the official re-entry from the basement. This is what I've been dreaming of literally for weeks. Man, this is the dream. That's what it's all about, just getting back to normal. Just one problem, it was all a lie. It was a blatant denial of facts that Cuomo and CNN didn't like. Oh, and to make it worse, get this, those COVID restrictions that Chris violated were set in place by his brother, Governor Andrew Cuomo. But obviously, the New York Post Carol Markowitz wasn't the only one to point out Chris Cuomo's absurdities. Twitter lit on fire with an avalanche of examples of Cuomo's utter hypocrisy. Jonathan Witt reposted Cuomo's dramatic emergence from his basement with the comment, "You must be joking." One tweet read, "Chris, show me where it says protests are supposed to be peaceful. Cuomo, everybody." Janice Dean tweeted out, "Anything that has to do with your brother." Another tweeted, "Antifa." Another asked, "Will you admit that the Hunter Biden laptop isn't Russian disinformation, or are you still clinging to that lie?" And they went on and on. Another pointed out Cuomo's rank hypocrisy with the whole Rebecca Jones situation, the now defunct and discredited former Florida health official who accused Governor Ron DeSantis of pressuring her to alter the state's COVID data. Fox News has reported her allegations were completely and totally made up, but that didn't stop CNN from featuring her multiple times to try to discredit a rising star in the Republican Party. But I gotta say, my favorite meme was a fellow by the name of Albanach who posted fiery but mostly peaceful missiles launched at Israel. Hilarious. Now, I mentioned earlier that this was just the latest in a series of humiliations for Chris Cuomo. You'll definitely want to check out a video that I posted on bombshell revelations that Chris Cuomo actually served as an advisor to his governor brother over his growing number of scandals, right? You're going to love that video because we uncover how Chris Cuomo was caught claiming that his own news network was extensively, objectively, and responsibly covering his brother's growing sexual harassment scandals, while at the same time he was formally advising his brother on how to beat the media crisis surrounding those scandals. It's absolutely insane, and they got caught. The Cuomo brothers got caught. And even before then, we did a video on how high-level members of the New York State Department of Health admitted that they were directed by Governor Cuomo to conduct prioritized coronavirus testing on the Cuomo's relatives, as well as influential people with ties to Cuomo, which of course included his brother Chris of CNN. So while average New Yorkers were struggling to get tests in the early days of the pandemic, Chris Cuomo was getting preferential treatment from his governor brother, cutting to the front of the line. And again, we could go on, but what on earth is going on here with Chris Cuomo? May I suggest that beyond an easily bruised ego, Cuomo suffers from what virtually all leftists suffer from, what scholars refer to as naive realism. Now, I know that might seem naive, but I think there's something to that. Naive realism, broadly speaking, involves the tendency some people have to believe that they see the world objectively, and the people who disagree with them must be uninformed, irrational, or biased. The reason why virtually all leftists suffer from naive realism is that they're constantly dealing in what we might call totalizing categories, such as claiming to stand for women's rights, minority rights, human rights, LGBT rights, and on and on. You see, if you think it through, because these categories are totalizing, rights for all minorities, rights for all women, rights for all humans, because these categories are totalizing, there's no conceivable alternative for the leftist. Either you're for human rights or you're a threat to humanity. There's no viable alternative. Either you're all for women's rights or, by definition, you're anti-woman. You're a patriarchal pig. And so in the leftist world of Cuomo, dissent, by definition of these totalizing categories, is simply not allowed. That's why silence is compliance. That's why dissent from so-called anti-racism curriculum, which is what Cuomo and CNN call critical race theory, dissent from anti-racism curriculum is by definition what? Racist. This is why leftists like Cuomo deny facts they don't like. They assume that there is no viable alternative to their leftist totalitarian worldview. There are no other facts, which in the end compels them to deny and dismiss facts that don't comport with their leftist globalist perspective. So well done to all the patriots who pushed back against Cuomo's leftist hubris and utter absurdity. Given his track record, we can be sure that his next humiliating fail is right around the corner. Now, before you go, you definitely want to check out my latest video. I just uploaded it when I was in Dallas. It was on CNN claiming that President Trump is actually launching a coup. You're going to love it. So make sure to click on the link, and I will see you over there. God bless.